let's talk about how we talk about body image with our children. Sort of a big topic for somebody of my caliber, but let's try to dive into it. And truth be told, this is not something, at least the way I'm going to talk about it, that's been super on my radar until my wife pointed it out to me, and she was like, yo, you have to go look at, my wife would never say yo, it's not in her nature or whatever, until she, go look at X, Y, and Z, go see these things. I think you're going to be really pissed off about it, sort of poking the bear. I'm the type of person that, like, when something's not directly in front of me, like I have my blinders on and I'm really good at like ignoring or unfollowing. Like I really only sometimes see what I want to see. Like I'm what the kids call a ghoster. If I don't like something, you'll never hear from me again. Like if you do me dirty and I decide like we're done with each other, you're never going to hear from me again. It's super, super simple for me. Done. Cut. So let me level set by sharing how my wife and I talk about body image or think about body image with our child, because I think it'll sort of like lay the groundwork for the two things outside of that I want to talk about. So in our house, we are we're like a food neutral, body neutral, sex positive type of environment. What the fuck does that mean, right? Well, let's chat about that for a second. You'll have to forgive my out of breath this week. Thanks to science. Thank you, science. I've been able to go back to the gym, which is funny because we're talking about body image, but my asthma and how I've treated my body during the pandemic is like, yo, fuck you. So I'm literally sitting here trying to get words out and I'm like, so we'll see how it goes. When we talk about food neutrality, that's literally what it sounds like. There's no food that's better or worse than other food. So as an adult, I know I like pizza more than I like green beans. I know that. You know who doesn't know that? My kid. There's nothing more or less exciting about pizza versus green beans for her. All food is neutral. It's not used as a bargaining tool. Although granted, she's getting into her like picky toddler phase. Still though, we try not to use it as a bargaining tool. We use it as all food is equal, all food is sustenance, all food is great. Enjoy. Body neutrality. You're not too thin, you're not too heavy. We don't comment on bodies. It's something I have to be very mindful of. I'm sure everybody out there will be surprised to learn I have a big mouth and I have trouble controlling it. Something that comes out of my mouth all the time is like, Jesus Christ, Jess, stop eating like you're going to the fucking chair. That comes out of my mouth all the time. I do have to be more mindful about cursing in front of my kid, and I'm doing a better job at the other part of it of not commenting on my body or not calling, oh, I feel so fat, or, oh God, that was so fattening. I ate like crap. Like I'm doing a better job at that than cursing. But we try to be mindful of not shaming ourselves, not shaming her. If she's hungry for an extra snack, go to town, girl. Have that extra snack. She just learned how to say cookies. It's very cute. Cookies. So she has her cookies, no problem. Granted, they're like Annie's homegrown. They're not that exciting, but she doesn't know that because food neutrality. When it comes to sex positivity, your body parts are your body parts. We're not calling your vagina your pee-pee. We're calling it your vagina. We're not calling your boobs or your breasts anything outside of those words. Like we use the body parts. Sex is not scary. Sex is something that's part of life. All of these things go together. That's where we sit as parents. That's not to pat ourselves on the shoulders. So it works for us. Fine. And we also we did the baby-led weaning thing. So our daughter's been eating like full-grown adult meals since she's like 6 months old because we couldn't stop her. Like that's how it works. When they're interested in food, you start just kind of giving them real people food versus breast milk when they're ready. So she's been, chewing on broccoli and all kinds of crap for a long time. Anyway, first part of this is when we comment on kids' bodies. So there's two sides of this because there's the like, oh, look at those skinny little legs. And there's the like, oh, look at those chubby cheeks. Both are sort of shitty. Both are obviously very benign. Like there's no malintent behind pinching a kid's cheeks or being like, oh, look at those chubby thighs, I want to bite them. I get it because I've done it. But I understand the detriment that comes with it because when, and this was something I was reminded of when my daughter was little, she She was outgrowing her clothes. That's what babies do. They grow. That's what they're supposed to do. And we had a couple people be like, oh, she's outgrowing her clothes. Are you sure she's like not eating too much? Well, first of all, here's a little fact. Let me hit you with a little fact. You cannot overfeed a breastfed baby. It's just not how it works. Also, like, kids are supposed to grow. So you can all go fuck yourselves. But that, like, oh my God, no, she should be in tiny newborn clothes. Well, she shouldn't be in anything. There's no right way to grow. There's no like pace at which you should grow. Like, guess what? She's in the middle of all of her charts, right in the middle. She's very average. Funny enough, now if you were to look at her, you'd be like, oh, you're a skinnier child. But so I was reminded of that. And it got me thinking, because my daughter was not old enough at the time and is still not old enough now to process something like that. So if somebody's calling her like chubby or bigger, or on the other side, skinny, tiny, whatever, for a kid to hear that, they don't understand what that means. And truth be told, if somebody were to come up to me and be like, oh, you're so chubby, look at your cheeks, da, 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 like, I'd punch it in the fucking throat. But again, I go to the gym, so don't worry about it. But that's sort of like the first part of it. And that's like a very, it's very benign, because when people say things like that, it's part of our society, like commenting on what a kid looks like, the physicality of a baby. Oh, they're 8 pounds, however many ounces. Oh, big. Oh, they're 6 pounds, whatever ounces. Oh, small. It's all based on the body size, the actual like girth of a child. That's the benign part. But don't comment on my kid overeating, because I'll slash your tires. Part 2, and this is where I had to do some digging, because again, I'm like an unfollower, I'm a blinders on, don't really care. But after looking into it, I'm like, yo, what is going on here? So there's like this, there's always like diet trends on the internet. There's always different things that people are into, or are selling, or taking, or preaching about. I don't know. There's always some program somewhere somebody's doing, and they want to tell you about it over and over and over again. Just for like reference, never talk to me about any of that stuff. I eat healthy and I exercise. I don't give a fuck about your diet program. Definitely not. 100% not. 1,000,000% not. Let's go with 1,000,000. Infinity% not. Don't care. What I do care about is when I see or hear that parents are involving their children in these things. And I don't mean, and I know there are some people out there who are into some really cool exercise programs. I don't mean exercise programs when you're involving your children. I mean diet programs, like supplement programs, where you're giving your children things that are intended for adults who are trying to lose weight, perhaps in the not, most natural way possible. And it's the words associated more so than the actual like intake of product, because those are your kids and do whatever you want. It's words like skinny, right? Let that sit. If you're talking to a tween or a teenager, really any age child, and you're placing the emphasis on the word skinny, that's all that they hear. They are going to feel praise for being skinny. And now I'm sure it's no surprise to anyone watching this, like body dysmorphia, body image issues, like it's so prevalent in our world. Like people don't know how to talk to other people about their bodies because they are ashamed 100% of the time. People don't understand health because they're too scared to ask about health. I wasn't raised in a house where, health or fitness was on the table, literally and figuratively. And I wasn't raised in a healthy environment anyway, mental health, but physical health was not like a value. When I hit, I don't know, 30 something, I was like, all right, like maybe working out, maybe eating healthier. And I was heavier at one point, heavy for my body. Like, I know we talk to each other on the internet a lot. So like I'm 5'4". I'm like 138 to 140. Like I'm not a big girl. At one point I was 30 pounds heavier than I was now. And I, at 35 years old, well, not 35 years old, I was probably like 30 at the time. I, at 30 years old, made the choice and said, I need to be healthy and lose weight. Kids don't understand health when you're only using the word skinny. We need to teach health, because that is the end goal. Skinny is not the end goal. Yeah, guess what? Skinny that's cool. I don't mind being in good shape. I know people like being in good shape. You feel good about yourself, but it's all about health, mental, physical, emotional health, not skinny. So what I'm seeing a lot on the internet are people using words like skinny in association with dieting programs, skinny in association with supplements, and involving their kids. I think it's really gross. I think it's really disgusting. And I think that it's the type of thing that your kids are going to grow up and they're not going to understand, like, there's this really supernatural way to be healthy and stay in shape, and it's called diet and exercise. And they're going to look to supplements and they're going to look to programs, and you're creating like I'm talking to anyone, particular, these people who are doing this, they're creating this continued cycle of like unhealthy eating habits and unhealthy understanding of like what mental, emotional, and like wellness and like fitness looks like. So don't do that. Don't do that. It's no good. Bad. Stop using the word skinny. Stop using the word fat. There's so many in betweens. There's so many different body types. And I guess I don't really understand, as somebody who's like sort of wholly average in my body, I don't understand being praised one way or the other, especially for a child. Period. There's no end to that sentence, especially for a child, because they don't understand their bodies yet. They have to grow into their bodies. Here I sit at 35, like I'm cool with my body. Like now, whatever, like it is what it is. I own it. When you are much, much younger, like your body's your own. Always, 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 always your body's your own. You are not accountable in the same way for your body. Your food intake is provided by your parents. Your exercise is encouraged by your parents, your family, or whoever your guardian is, whatever it may be. It's not something you own until you find that interest or that like understanding of health. You don't really have the accountability on it. So anyway, I'm about to have a goddamn asthma attack, so I'm going to get going. But let's stop using words like skinny. Let's stop body shaming children. Like, do you hear how fucking stupid that sounds? Like body shaming children? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Like, stop body shaming adults too. Like, what the fuck do you care what else someone looks like? But like, you know what I mean? Skinny, fat, what? Who cares? Who cares? Kids are kids. They're cute. Most of them, if you train them right. Anyway, coming up on Monday, we have Al from Step by Step. That's right, Christine Lakin. I'm freaking out. She is everyone's first childhood crush. Have a great weekend. Eat whatever you want.